Hello, my name is Gary Schotten, and I'm going to talk to you about the subject of marketing. And I'm not going to talk about being a marketing specialist. I'm not going to talk about being a website designer. Those are technical skills that you can hire done. I hope to talk to this subject a little bit from the standpoint of an owner. How do you look at marketing? How do you get marketing done? And it's nice to think that you go to college and you take a marketing degree and you can apply all that. But to be frank about it, my experience is you can apply that if you're working for a large company, because they have a marketing budget and they have set aside $500,000 and they can do this in marketing, or $300,000 for that, and then you decide how to spend that. Well, unfortunately, when you have a small business, you don't have much of a marketing budget. And so marketing becomes quite a challenge. Now, I personally separate the difference between marketing and sales in this way. Marketing gets them to call your phone number, gets them to your door, gets them in touch with you the first time. And at that point, you better have a pretty good sales department. So you've done a good job if you got them to call you, or you got them to enter into your door, or you get the lead to get in and actually talk to somebody about sales. So that's what I talk about marketing, is making that impression to leading up to the sale, the nuts and bolts of explaining what you're going to get for your money. Now, there's a term called guerrilla marketing, like the big gorilla, okay? Normally that's referred to this kind of thought pattern. Spend money last. Spend as little as you can. Now, that's not typical to big corporation, but frankly, that's about all that you have. Getting marketing money pulled aside so that you can spend this large sum of money, man, it is like pulling teeth while you're paying your other bills. Let's go through some of the things that are just basic. You know, you better have some good-looking business cards. You better have some logo that looks halfway decent. You ought to have a little sales slogan. You ought to have your name out there someplace. Yellow Pages is outside the picture now. When I was in business 25 years ago and there's no internet, my annual budget for Yellow Pages was $30,000. Almost a big chunk, 4 or 5% of my total revenue, $30,000. Well, thankfully, Yellow Pages has gone away pretty well, because now I look up on the internet. But that opens up an entire new realm that I won't even explore, because somebody that's good at marketing can take somebody else's product, never even make it, and resell it under a new name because they have a wonderful website. So marketing is just so dynamic, changing all the time, so diverse that you'll have to plug in here, and I do not believe you're going to agree with everything I have to say. Now, in my case, I had a moving and storage company. Real briefly, it was moving people. I used Yellow Pages. I had to get people to call me. I had some innovative ideas. I didn't have a lot of money, so I decided that they're going to have a tour looking at their houses, and I decided to go ahead and invite them over for dinner on Tuesday after the realtors had their show and after they did their tours. I paid them. The meal cost was around $1.50 for the best brisket meal you could have. I got those realtors to come into my business and see what I had. That was my best money. When I was going to market and I was going to go out to them, I would take them donuts, and I would make sure I even packaged the donuts. Rather than 2 dozen in a box, I would get a half dozen. I'd say, I want 2 dozen donuts, but I want in a half dozen boxes. So I would go around to those realtors and make sure they knew, hey, at least think of me, at least think of me, at least think of me. I had people that when my salesman went out, I got this idea. I said, hey, every time somebody moves, I want to have the signal that tells me. Now, all these are low budget things. And I would see realtor signs in the yard, and I'd say, you know, that's the biggest sign I could possibly tell. It says realtor house for sale, but for me it said, I'm moving, I'm going to move. It may be 2 weeks, it may be 6 weeks, it may be 10 weeks, it may be 2 years, but I'd put them in my database and I'd start calling them. It was just time, and I'd say, hey, I noticed your house is for sale. Could I help you move? And I would give them my marketing pitch. I spent very little money. When that worked good, I required that of my salespeople. Say, hey, you've got to generate half of your own leads. I will match you half for one. Every time you create a lead, I'll make sure my money gets you another lead. But you've got to get some leads. Go out there and look at Yellow Pages. There's a database when go out there and look at yard signs. When there's a database that says if I have the address, which I have, I can find a lot about that person, including their phone number. So I hope I'm giving some ideas how to do marketing with a low budget on a service industry like that. Now, I was talking to somebody and they asked me, hey, how do I increase sales? And they were totally shocked when I told them this. I told them, you know what? I'm now working company to company. And they said, well, man, I bet you you go out and wine and dine them, and you take them to ball games, and you might even take them over on an airplane ride to see the World Series or something like that. And I said, you know what? None of that. The companies I work for won't allow that. They have rules. One of them's Halliburton. They have a rule, and they put it in one page. I said, man, this is a 17-page document. And the one page that I was reading was in English. And then I looked down those other 17 pages, and guess what? That's a worldwide company. It was in 17 languages. They're making it real clear there's no such thing as paying off under the table, getting money, and if you're leaning towards a big budget for entertainment, it's old school, and it may get you in trouble. And yeah, there's some of that, but if that's your entire motion, if that's your entire intent, I would shy away from it, because it's like walking on thin ice. It's going to crack through sometime. Now, my marketing is my shop. I'm here in a shop, and I'm telling you, every single day I try to make our systems better and better and better and better and better. There's no such thing as it's good enough. As I think as Steve Jobs says, there's always a better way. There's always a better way. And as I crank and make my things better, my systems better, my product better, I'm not out here looking for a whole bunch of new customers, because I'm focused in on my getting better myself. My customers will stick with me, stay with me, if I'm providing, in my case, a very quality product on time, as expected, at a fair price. I hope I've shared some thoughts. I know that you may not agree with everything. I know I said that twice, but I've given you some thoughts to think about. Thank you.